the story of life on Earth. While individual organisms die without fail, species continue to live through millions of years unless threatened by natural or anthropogenic extinction. Reproduction becomes a vital process without which a species cannot survive for long. Each individual lives its progeny by a sexual or sexual means. Sexual mode of reproduction enables creation of new variants so that survival advantage is enhanced. This unit explains the details of advantage in enhance. This unit explains the details of reproductive processes in flowering plants and humans as easy to relate representation examples. A related perspective on human reproductive health and how reproductive ill health can be avoided is also presented to complete our understanding of biology of reproduction. Born in November 1904 in Jaipur, Rajasthan, Panchanan Maheshwari rose to become one of the most distinguished botanists not only of India but of the entire world. Allahabad. He moved to Allahabad higher to Allahabad higher education where he obtained his DSc during his college days. Mm, education doctorate during his college days. He was inspired by Dr. D. Dudkan, an American missionary teacher, to develop interest in botany and especially morphology. His teacher once expressed that if his student progresses ahead of him, it will give him a great satisfaction. These words encouraged Panchanan to inquiry what he could do for his teacher is in return. He worked on embryological aspects and popularized the use of embryological characters in taxonomy. He established the Department of Botany, University of Delhi as an important center of research in embryology and tissue culture. He also emphasized the need for initiation of work on artificial culture of immature embryos. These days, culture tissue culture has become a landmark in science. His work on test tube fertilization and intra-ovarian pollination won worldwide acclaim. He was honored with Fellowship of Royal Society of London, Indian National Science Academy and several other institutes of excellence. He encouraged general education and made a significant contribution to school education by his leadership in bringing out the very first textbooks of biological for higher secondary schools published by NCERT in 1964. Are we not lucky that plants reproduce sexually? The myriads of flowers that we enjoy gazing at, the scent and the perfumes scent and perfumes that we swoon over, the rich colors that attract us are all there as an aid to sexual reproduction. Flowers do not exist only for us to be used for our own selfness, selfishness. All flower plants show sexual reproduction. A look at the diversity of structures of the inflorescences. Flowers and floral parts shows an amazing range of adaptation to ensure formation of the end products of sexual reproduction in the fruits and seeds. In this chapter, let us understand the morphology, structure, and the process of sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Agnosiperm. Flower a fascinating organism in the sense. आप जिस व्यक्ति को कॉल कर रहे हैं वो मतलब लोगों से बहुत दूर जा चुका है तो यूं बार बार कॉल न social natural value. They have always been used as symbols for conveying important human feelings such as love, affection, affection, happiness, grief, mourning. It lists at least five flowers of norm of ornate of ornamental value that are commonly cultivated at homes and gardens. But find out the names of five more flowers that are used in social and cultural celebrating in your family. Have you heard of floriculture? What does it refer to? To a biologist, flowers are morphological and embryological morphological and embryological marvels and the sites of sexual reproduction. In earlier classes, you have read the various parts of a flower. Figure 1.1 will help you recall the parts of a typical typical flower. Can you name the two parts in a flower in which the two most important units of sexual reproduction develop? Pre fertilization, structure, and events. Much before the actual flower is seen on a plant, the decision that the plant is going to flower has taken place. Several hormonal and structural changes change are initial which lead to the differentiation and further development of the floral primordium. Inflorescences are from which bear the floral buds and then the flower. In the flower and male and female reproductive structures, the endocrine and the gynosium differentiation and develop. You would recollect that the endosium consists of a wall of stamens representation, the male reproductive organ, and the gynosium representation represent the female reproductive organ. Stamen, microsporangium, and pollen grain. Figure 1.2 shows the two parts of a typical stamen. The long and slender stack called the filament, and the terminal generally bivalve structure called the anther. The proximal end of the filament it is attached to the thalamus or the petal of the flower. The number and length of stamens are variable in flowers of different species. If you were to collect a stamen each from 10 flowers, each from different species, and arrange them on a slide, you would be able to appreciate the large variation in size seen in nature. Careful observation of each stamen under a dissecting microscope and making neat diagrams would elucidate the range in shape and attachment of anthers in different flowers. A typical angiosperm's anther is bivalve, with each lobe having two theca. Example they are dithecous, often a longitudinal groove runs lengthwise, separating the theca. Let us understand the various types of tissues and their organization in the transverse section of an anther. The bivalve nature of an anther is very distinct in the transverse section of the anther. The anther is a four-sided structure consists of four microsporangia located at the corners, two in each lobe. The microsporangia develop further and become pollen sacs. They extend longitudinally all through the length of an anther and are packed with pollen grains. Structure of microsporangium. In a transverse section, a typical microsporangium appears near circular in outline. It is generally surrounded by four wall layers: the epidermis, endothecium, middle layers, and the tapetum. The other three wall layers perform the function of protection and help in dehiscence dehiscence of anther to release the pollen. The innermost wall layer is the tapetum. It nurses and the developing pollen grain cells. Two of the tapetum possess dense cytoplasm and generally have more than one nucleus. Can you think of how tapetal cells could become nucleated? When the anther is young, a group of compactly arranged homogeneous cells called the sporogenous tissues occupies the center of each microsporangium tissue. As the anther develops, the cells of the sporangians tissues undergo meiotic divisions or to form microspore tetrads. What would be the ploidy of the cells of the tetrad. Q. Phaeohygia. The members of Phaeohygia or brown algae are found primarily marine habitat. They show great variation in size and form. They range from simple branch filamentous form to profuse branch form as represented by clips. Let's see the survey. How to answer hi. Hello. Hi, hello. So your message. Giving thali. On the thali. On the thali. Oh. বন্ধুরে খেলি খেলি অবসর করে আহারি খাই উঠে তুমি জাগে না জানো কোন তুমি থাকা না জানো আমায় কথা গো জানো মাথা আমি থাকো খবর ভাজা আতি আতি হন নূর হপন বরে খেদি মুখ অগহুল পরে